You do not mind if I join you, do you?
The champagne flute shattered against my pool house wall at exactly 11:47 p.m., and that's when I knew my marriage was over. I'm Nick Vance, 39 years old, owner of Dallas Pool Solutions, and apparently the biggest fool in Highland Park. While my wife Elise celebrated her promotion to HR director at Stokes Wealth Management, I was cleaning up after her friends and pretending everything was fine. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. "Nick, honey, could you grab more ice?" Elise called from across our backyard, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. She was talking to Graham Stokes, her new boss, a silver-haired hunter in a $5,000 suit who'd been eye-fucking my wife all evening. I'd built this pool with my own hands 3 years ago. Every tile, every light, every goddamn drain. Now I was watching my marriage circle that same drain while 30-something socialites gossiped and Graham made jokes about the help. "Sure thing, sweetheart," I called back, heading toward the pool house. That's when I heard them. Elise and her best friend Steph were giggling like teenagers inside the pool house, their voices echoing off the walls I'd soundproofed for Max's gaming setup. "I swear, Steph, Dr. Lou has magic hands," Elise slurred. "Nick hasn't touched me like that in years." My blood turned to ice water. Dr. Ethan Lou was Elise's gynecologist, and apparently much more. "Girl, you're living dangerously," Steph whispered. "What if Nick finds out?" "Nick?" Elise laughed, a sound like breaking glass. "Nick's too busy with his precious pools to notice anything. Besides, Graham says he can help with that problem." I pressed myself against the pool house wall, my heart hammering against my ribs. "Graham wants you that bad?" Steph asked. "Graham wants everything. The company, me, even Max. He's already talking about how much easier life would be if Nick just disappeared." The champagne flute slipped from my fingers and exploded against the wall. Both women went silent. I walked away before they could investigate, my mind reeling. My wife was fucking her doctor and plotting with her boss. My 14-year-old son Max was upstairs playing video games, oblivious to the fact that his world was about to implode. I grabbed the ice, plastered on a smile, and rejoined the party. Graham was holding court near the pool, telling some story about restructuring human resources. "Nick," he called out when he saw me. "Great party, though I have to say, your wife deserves better than this suburban setup." The other guests laughed. I wanted to drown him in my own pool. "Thanks, Graham. Elise deserves a lot of things." He clapped me on the shoulder like we were old friends. "You know, Nick, I've been thinking. A man in your position, blue-collar, limited prospects, you must worry about providing for a woman like Elise." "I sleep fine at night. Do you? Because successful women need successful partners. It's just biology." I noticed his wedding ring was missing. His wife Patricia had filed for divorce 6 months ago, citing irreconcilable differences. Now I understood what those differences were. The party wound down around midnight. As guests stumbled toward their Ubers and BMWs, I helped clean up while Elise air-kissed her way through goodbyes. She was drunk, handsy with Graham, and completely oblivious to the fact that I'd overheard everything. "Great party, babe," she said, wrapping her arms around my neck. She smelled like champagne and lies. "Yeah, great. I'm exhausted. Going straight to bed?" She kissed my cheek, her lips cold against my skin. I watched her stumble inside, then spent another hour cleaning up. Every broken bottle, every cigarette butt, every piece of evidence that 30 people had celebrated my wife's success while she planned my destruction. At 2:47 a.m., Elise's phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. She'd passed out upstairs, still in her dress. The text was from G. "Thanks for last night. Can't wait to make this permanent." I took a screenshot and forwarded it to myself. Then I sat in my kitchen, staring at my reflection in the black window, and started planning. By 3 a.m., I'd emptied our joint checking account, $47,000 that represented 3 years of pool installations and Elise's corporate salary. I transferred it to an account she didn't know about, one I'd opened years ago for Max's college fund. I packed 2 duffel bags, clothes for Max and me, important documents, and my laptop. Everything else could burn. Max was harder to wake up than a hibernating bear, but eventually I got him moving. "Dad, what's going on?" He rubbed his eyes, looking younger than 14 in his Minecraft pajamas. "We're taking a trip, buddy. Just you and me." "What about Mom?" "Mom's busy with work stuff. She'll catch up later." It wasn't technically a lie. Elise was definitely busy. Just not with the kind of work Max was thinking about. We drove to a Motel 6 off I-35. The kind of place where nobody asked questions and the ice machine hadn't worked since Clinton was president. I got us a room with 2 beds and a view of the parking lot. "This is weird, Dad," Max said, setting up his gaming laptop on the scratched desk. "I know, son, but sometimes weird is necessary." I'd just gotten Max settled when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You should have just left, Nick. Time to say goodbye." Before I could process the threat, the motel room door exploded inward. A man in a ski mask charged through, holding a tire iron like he knew how to use it. He was big, linebacker big, with prison tattoos crawling up his forearms. "Dad!" Max screamed. I shoved my son behind the bed and grabbed the only weapon I could find, a lamp with a heavy ceramic base. The masked man swung the tire iron at my head. I ducked, felt the wind from the near miss, and swung back with the lamp. It connected with his shoulder, sending him stumbling. "You picked the wrong night, a-hole," he growled, recovering faster than I'd hoped. He came at me again, this time low and fast. The tire iron caught me in the ribs, sending lightning through my chest. I gasped, tasting copper, and realized I was probably going to die in a crappy motel room while my son watched. That's when the cavalry arrived. The door, already hanging off its hinges, flew open again. Dusty Rodriguez, my old army buddy turned private investigator, charged in like the wrath of God. He tackled the masked man from behind, sending both of them crashing into the wall. "Didn't think pool work was this exciting, did you?" Dusty grunted, wrestling for control of the tire iron. The fight was brief but vicious. Dusty had 20 pounds on the intruder and 15 years of experience putting bad guys to sleep. Within 30 seconds, the masked man was unconscious on the motel room carpet. "You okay?" Dusty asked, breathing hard. "Been better. How did you sent me that screenshot, remember? Figured you might need backup?" I'd completely forgotten about forwarding him the text from Graham. Thank God for paranoid friends. "We need to call the police," I said. "Already did. They're on the way." But when the cops arrived 10 minutes later, the masked man was gone. Just a broken door, a shattered lamp, and 3 confused people trying to explain what had happened. The officer, a tired-looking woman named Detective Santos, took our statements with the enthusiasm of someone who'd rather be home sleeping. "Any idea who might want to hurt you, Mr. Vance?" I thought about Graham's threat, about Elise's betrayal, about the way my perfect suburban life had turned into a nightmare in less than 24 hours. I'm starting to get some ideas. We spent the rest of the night at Dusty's apartment in Deep Ellum, a converted warehouse that smelled like coffee and surveillance equipment. Max crashed on the couch while Dusty and I planned our next move. "So let me get this straight," Dusty said, sipping black coffee at 6 a.m. "Your wife is screwing her gynecologist, plotting with her boss to get rid of you, and said boss just sent a professional to rearrange your face. That's the situation. And you want to what exactly? Run? Fight? Roll over and play dead?" I stared out his window at the Dallas skyline, watching the sun paint the buildings gold and orange. Somewhere out there, Elise was probably waking up to find me gone. Good. "I want to destroy them," I said. "All of them, but I want to do it right." "Right meaning legal? Right meaning devastating." Dusty grinned. "Now you're talking my language." We started with surveillance. Dusty had contacts throughout the city. Cops, PIs, security guards, repo men. Within 2 hours, we had eyes on Elise, Graham, and Dr. Ethan Liu. Elise had called in sick to work and spent the morning driving around Highland Park in her BMW, probably looking for us. She'd called my phone 17 times. I let every call go to voicemail. Graham was at his office conducting business as usual. According to Dusty's contact at Stokes Wealth Management, he'd been asking questions about me. My finances, my business, my stability. Dr. Liu was the easiest to track. His clinic was in Uptown, and his schedule was posted online. A man of routine, our good doctor. "Wife wants me dead, son's on level 54 of Fortnite, and I'm living out of a duffel bag," I muttered, watching Max demolish digital monsters on his laptop. Living the dream. "Could be worse," Dusty said. "How?" "You could still be married to her." He had a point. That afternoon, we followed Elise to a Starbucks on Mockingbird Lane. She was meeting someone, a woman I didn't recognize at first. Then I saw the yoga pants and the Instagram perfect highlights. Steph Morrison, Elise's partner in crime from the night before. I parked across the street and activated the long-range microphone Dusty had borrowed from a client. The audio was crystal clear. "Nick took Max and disappeared," Elise was saying. "Cleaned out our bank account, too. Holy crap. What are you going to do?" "Graham says not to worry. He's handling it." "Handling it how?" Elise lowered her voice. Nick had an accident last night. Someone tried to rob their motel room. Jesus, Elise, is Max okay? They're both fine, unfortunately, but Graham says next time will be different. I felt sick. They were planning to eliminate me, and Elise was discussing it over overpriced lattes like they were planning a vacation. What about Dr. Lou? Steph asked. Ethan's getting nervous. He wants me to leave Nick and go public with our relationship. Are you going to? Maybe, after Graham takes care of the Nick problem? I had heard enough. As we drove back to Dusty's apartment, my phone rang. Unknown number again. Answer it, Dusty said. Let's see what they want. I put the call on speaker. Nick? Graham's voice, smooth as poisoned honey. Graham, lovely evening last night. Where are you? Around. Why? We need to talk, man to man. I think we're past talking, don't you? A pause, then. You have something that belongs to me. Your wife left you, Graham. That's not my fault. Not Patricia, Elise, and Max. My arterial pressure spiked. Max is my son. Biology is just genetics, Nick. Family is about who can provide, who can protect, who can offer a real future. You're a pool cleaner with a high school education. I'm offering that boy opportunities you can't even imagine. Over my dead body. That can be arranged. The line went dead. Dusty was already reaching for his tool safe. Okay, now we're in deep crap. My phone buzzed with a text message, a video file from another unknown number. The video showed Max walking out of his school 3 days ago, shot from inside a car parked across the street. The message was clear. They knew where to find him. They've been planning this for weeks, I realized. Maybe months. Then we better get planning too, Dusty said. I'd learned a few things during my 8 years in the Army and 15 years building pools for rich people. First, rich people always underestimate blue-collar guys. Second, the best offense is a good defense. Third, everyone has secrets they don't want exposed. Graham Stokes was about to learn all 3 lessons the hard way. We started with Dr. Ethan Liu because he was the weakest link. Dusty's research revealed some interesting facts about the good doctor. He was married to a woman named Catherine, had 2 teenage daughters, and belonged to a country club that would frown on infidelity scandals. More importantly, he drove a BMW to work every day and parked in the same spot. You sure about this? Dusty asked as we crouched in the parking garage beneath Lou's medical building. The man's been screwing my wife for months. I'm sure. I'd brought supplies from my pool business, a bag of calcium hypochlorite, some muriatic acid, and a few other chemicals that would make Dr. Lou's morning interesting. Nothing dangerous, just memorable. We waited until 2 a.m., then went to work. The calcium hypochlorite went into his gas tank, not enough to damage the engine, but enough to make it run rough. The muriatic acid, diluted with water, went on his windshield and hood, where it would leave permanent etching that spelled out Homewrecker MD in foot-tall letters. For the finishing touch, I used a tire valve tool to let the air out of all 4 tires. Think you'll get the message? Dusty asked. If not, we'll send a clearer one. We were back at Dusty's apartment by 3 a.m. I called Dr. Lou's office and left a message on his answering machine. Dr. Lou, this is Nick Vance. I think we need to discuss your bedside manner with my wife. Call me. Then I sent an anonymous email to his wife, Catherine, with photos I'd taken during my surveillance. Dr. Lou and Elise in the parking lot of a hotel, his hands places they shouldn't be. The photos were date-stamped and crystal clear. By 8 a.m., Dusty's police scanner was lighting up with reports of vandalism at the medical building. By 9 a.m., Dr. Lou was calling my phone. You son of a witch, he said without preamble. Good morning to you too, doctor. How's the car? You're insane. I'm calling the police. Go ahead. While you're at it, explain to them why you're so upset about a little prank. I'm sure Catherine would love to hear that conversation. Silence. What do you want? He finally asked. I want you to stop fucking my wife. It's not that simple. Sure it is. You stop, or I send those photos to the medical board, your country club, and every patient in your practice. Your choice. Graham won't let you get away with this. Graham's next on my list. You might want to warn him. I hung up and immediately called Graham's office. Stokes Wealth Management, this is Jennifer. Jennifer, this is Nick Vance. I need to speak with Graham about a business opportunity. I'm sorry, Mr. Stokes is in meetings all day. Tell him it's about his future with my wife. He'll take the call. 2 minutes later, Graham was on the line. You've got balls, I'll give you that, he said. I've got more than that. I've got evidence. Evidence of what? Your little conspiracy with Dr. Lou. Your plans for my family. Your hired muscle at the motel. You can't prove anything. Want to bet? I've got recordings, photos, witness statements, enough to bury you and your company. A long pause. What do you want? A meeting, tonight, somewhere public. Where? The Highland Park Country Club, 8 p.m. Come alone. And if I don't? Then tomorrow morning, every client of Stokes Wealth Management gets an email explaining how their financial advisor likes to eliminate inconvenient husbands. Graham was quiet for so long I thought he'd hung up. 8 p.m., he finally said. The Highland Park Country Club was Graham's territory, the kind of place where membership cost more than most people's houses. I'd been there exactly once, for a Christmas party 3 years ago, and I'd felt like a fraud the entire time. Tonight, I felt like a hunter. I arrived early and positioned myself at the bar, nursing a beer and watching the entrance. Dusty was outside in the parking lot, monitoring radio frequencies and ready to call for backup if things went sideways. Graham arrived at exactly 8 p.m., looking like he owned the place, which he probably did. Nick, he sat down beside me, ordering a scotch that cost more than my daily rate. Graham, thanks for coming. Let's cut the crap. What's this really about? I turned to face him, studying his perfectly groomed appearance, his expensive suit, his manicured nails. Everything about him screamed money and power and entitlement. It's about you trying to have me eliminated so you can steal my family. Your family? He laughed. Nick, Elise came to me. She's unhappy, unfulfilled, looking for something you can't provide. So you decided to provide it? I decided to offer her options. A real future, financial security, a man who can match her ambitions. And Max? Max deserves better than a father who cleans pools for a living. The words hit like a physical blow, but I kept my expression neutral. Here's my counteroffer, I said. You stay away from my wife and son, or I destroy you. Graham smiled, the kind of smile sharks probably wore. You? Destroy me? Nick, I have more money than you'll see in 10 lifetimes. I have connections, influence, power. What do you have? I have nothing left to lose. Everyone has something to lose. That's when I played my ace. I pulled out my phone and showed him a video. Security footage from the motel parking lot, showing his hired thug entering our room. The timestamp was clearly visible, along with the license plate of the car he'd arrived in. Recognize him? I asked. Graham's face went pale. Where did you get this? The motel's security system. Turns out they keep backups. This footage is already in the hands of the police, the FBI, and a very hungry reporter at the Dallas Morning News. You're bluffing. Am I? Check tomorrow's paper. I stood up, leaving my beer half finished. Stay away from my family, Graham. This is your only warning. As I walked toward the exit, he called after me. This isn't over, Nick. I turned back, smiled, and said the words that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Yes, it is. The story broke in the Dallas Morning News 3 days later. Wealth Management CEO linked to attack investigation. The reporter, a bulldog named Janet Martinez, had done her homework. Graham's connection to the motel attack, his history of problem-solving for wealthy clients, his messy divorce, it was all there in black and white. By noon, Stokes Wealth Management's stock had dropped 30%. By evening, Graham's remaining clients were calling emergency meetings. I watched it all unfold from Dusty's apartment, feeling like a general commanding troops from a hilltop. Max was at school. I'd enrolled him in a private academy under an assumed name, with Dusty's help. And for the first time in weeks, I felt like I was winning. Then Elise called. Nick, we need to talk. Do we? This has gone too far. Graham's career is ruined, Ethan's wife filed for divorce, and you're acting like some kind of vigilante. I'm acting like a husband whose wife tried to have him eliminated. Nobody tried to eliminate you. The man with the tire iron might disagree. Oh, wait, he can't. Graham made sure of that. Silence on the other end. Meet me, she said finally. Cafe Luna, 1 hour. Just us. Cafe Luna was a trendy spot in Bishop Arts District, the kind of place where 20-somethings went to be seen drinking $15 lattes. It was also public, well-lit, and full of witnesses. Perfect for what I had planned. Elise was already there when I arrived, sitting at a corner table and looking like she'd aged 5 years in the past week. Her perfect makeup couldn't hide the stress lines around her eyes, and her designer outfit hung loose on her frame. You look terrible, I said, sitting down across from her. Thanks. You look different. She was right. I'd lost weight, gained muscle, and developed the kind of hard edge that came from having nothing left to lose. War changes a man, even suburban warfare. What do you want, Elise? I want my husband back. The words hit me like a slap. After everything, the betrayal, the lies, the attempt on my life, she was sitting there pretending to be the sufferer. Your husband is dead, I said quietly. You eliminated him the night you fucked Dr. Liu. That was a mistake. I was lonely, confused. You were planning to have me eliminated. That wasn't my idea. Graham said what? That I was in the way? That Max would be better off without his father? She started crying then, real tears that probably fooled half the cafe. But I'd seen her practice this routine in the mirror too many times to be impressed. I never wanted you hurt, she whispered. You just wanted me gone. I wanted to feel alive again. Do you know what it's like being married to someone who's never there, who cares more about pool chemicals than his own wife? Do you know what it's like being married to someone who's fucking her doctor while planning your funeral? The conversation at the next table stopped. Elise's face went red. Keep your voice down. Why? Embarrassed? You weren't embarrassed when you were bragging to Steph about Dr. Magic Hands. How did you... I heard everything, every word, every detail about how Nick was too stupid to notice, too boring to care, too poor to matter. She was sobbing now, making a scene that would be all over Highland Park social media within hours. Perfect. I'm sorry, she choked out. I'm so sorry. Sorry you got caught, or sorry you tried to have me eliminated. Both. Neither. I don't know. I leaned forward, my voice low and cold. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to sign divorce papers giving me full custody of Max. You're going to walk away from this marriage with nothing but the clothes on your back, and you're going to disappear from our lives forever. I can't do that. Max is my son too. Max is the son of a woman who is willing to make him an orphan for a promotion and a new boyfriend. Think about that. I stood up, leaving her crying into her overpriced latte. The papers will be delivered tomorrow. Sign them or I'll release the recording of you and Steph planning my homicide. What recording? I smiled and walked away without answering. There was no recording, of course, but Elise didn't know that. The next morning brought news that made my day. Dr. Ethan Liu had been suspended from his practice pending an investigation into inappropriate relationships with patients. His wife, Catherine, had not only filed for divorce, but had also reported him to the medical board. Graham, meanwhile, was fighting for his professional life. 3 major clients had pulled their accounts. The SEC was asking questions about his consulting business, and someone had leaked his divorce records, revealing a pattern of infidelity and financial manipulation. That someone might have been me. But the best news came from an unexpected source, Max. Dad, he said over breakfast at a diner near Dusty's apartment. I know what's going on. I nearly choked on my coffee. What do you mean? Mom and that guy Graham, the doctor, the whole thing. Max, I'm not stupid, Dad. I heard Mom on the phone weeks ago talking about how she wished you would just disappear. I saw the text from Dr. Liu. I know about the man who broke into our motel room. I stared at my son, seeing him clearly for the first time in months. He wasn't a child anymore. The past few weeks had aged him, hardened him, made him grow up faster than any 14-year-old should have to. I'm sorry you had to see all this, I said. I'm not. I'm glad I know who Mom really is. She's still your mother, Max. No, she's not. A mother protects her kids. She doesn't try to get their father eliminated. Out of the mouths of babes. That afternoon, Elise called to tell me she'd signed the divorce papers. Her voice was flat, defeated, empty of the confidence that had once attracted me. Graham's finished, she said. His company's being investigated. His clients are gone, and he's probably going to prison. Good. Ethan lost his medical license. His wife took everything in the divorce. Also good. I lost my job. Apparently, sleeping with the boss and conspiring to commit attack doesn't look good on performance reviews. Shocking. A long pause. What happens now? She asked. Now you disappear. Change your name, move to another state, start over, and you never ever contact Max or me again. And if I don't? Then I release everything, every photo, every recording, every piece of evidence I have about your conspiracy with Graham. You'll be lucky to get a job cleaning toilets. You've thought of everything, haven't you? I had good teachers. You and Graham showed me how to plan someone's destruction. She hung up without saying goodbye. 3 weeks later, I was back in my own house, installing a new security system and trying to rebuild some kind of normal life for Max and me. The divorce was final, the custody papers were signed, and Elise had vanished like smoke. Graham was facing federal charges for conspiracy and attack. Dr. Lou was working at a free clinic in El Paso, the only place that would hire him. And I was slowly learning how to be a single father. It should have been over. It wasn't. The attack came on a Tuesday night during a thunderstorm that knocked out power to half of Highland Park. I was in the kitchen making dinner when the security system started screaming. "Dad," Max called from upstairs. "Stay in your room," I shouted back, grabbing the baseball bat I'd started keeping by the back door. The first man came through the sliding glass door like it was made of paper. He was huge, wearing tactical gear and carrying enough firepower to level a city block. Behind him came two more, moving with military precision. Graham's final gambit. "Where is he?" the lead man shouted. I was already moving, using the kitchen island for cover as bullets chewed up my cabinets. These weren't street thugs like the motel attacker. These were professionals, and they'd come to finish the job. That's when the cavalry arrived again. Dusty came through the front door like the wrath of God, armed with a rifle and 20 years of bad attitude. The first gunman turned toward the new threat, giving me an opening. I came around the island swinging the bat like Babe Ruth. It connected with the gunman's knee, sending him crashing into my refrigerator. His weapon skittered across the floor. "Federal agents," Dusty shouted. "Drop your weapons." It was a bluff, but it worked. The second gunman hesitated, looking confused. That hesitation cost him. I tackled him from behind, driving him face first into my granite countertop. The sound his nose made when it broke was deeply satisfying. The third gunman was smarter. He grabbed the first man's dropped weapon and started shooting, forcing Dusty and me to take cover. "Max!" I screamed. "Call 911-inch! Already did!" my son called back. "They're on the way!" The gunfight lasted maybe 3 minutes, but it felt like hours. When the police finally arrived, they found 2 unconscious intruders, 1 dead gunman, and a kitchen that looked like a war zone. The investigation that followed revealed everything. Graham had hired the team from prison, using the last of his hidden assets to eliminate the man who'd destroyed his life. The FBI found bank records, phone calls, and a written contract for my assassination. Graham's lawyer tried to claim his client was mentally unstable, driven to desperation by my campaign of maltreatment. The jury didn't buy it. Neither did the judge, who sentenced Graham Stokes to 25 years in federal prison for conspiracy to commit homicide. The trial made national news. "Suburban pool contractor survives homicide plot," was how CNN described it. Fox News went with "Texas dad fights back against elite conspiracy." The story had everything: Zex, betrayal, violence, and a regular guy taking on the wealthy establishment. I hated every minute of the attention. What I didn't hate was the aftermath. My pool business exploded with new customers, people who wanted to support the hero of Highland Park. Max started at a new school and made friends quickly. Apparently having a dad who survived assassins made you pretty popular with teenagers. And Elise? Well, Elise made one final mistake. She came back. It was 6 months after Graham's sentencing, on a Saturday afternoon when Max and I were cleaning the pool. The same pool where this whole nightmare had started, now sparkling clean and free of blood and broken dreams. She looked different, thinner, older, wearing clothes from Target instead of Neiman Marcus. The woman who'd once commanded every room she entered now looked like she was afraid of her own shadow. "Hello, Nick." I looked up from the pool skimmer, not particularly surprised to see her. I'd been expecting this visit for weeks. "Elise, you're not supposed to be here." "I know, but I had to see him." She was looking at Max, who was pretending to clean the filter while obviously listening to every word. "Max, go inside," I said. "Dad? Inside, now." My son reluctantly obeyed, shooting one last look at the woman who'd given birth to him but had never really been his mother. "You look good," Elise said once we were alone. "You don't." It was true. The past year had aged her a decade. Her perfect hair was dull and lifeless, her designer features looked hollow, and her eyes held the kind of emptiness that came from losing everything that mattered. "I've been living in Phoenix," she said. "Working at a call center, renting a studio apartment. It's different. Good different or bad different? Honest different. For the first time in my life, I'm not pretending to be someone else." I continued cleaning the pool, not trusting myself to look at her directly. "Why are you here, Elise?" I wanted to apologize, really apologize, not the fake stuff from before. "Okay, apologize." She took a shaky breath. I'm sorry I betrayed you. I'm sorry I chose money and status over my family. I'm sorry I was willing to let Graham hurt you to get what I wanted. And I'm sorry I was such a terrible mother to Max that he's better off without me. That got my attention. I looked up, studying her face for signs of manipulation or deception. All I saw was exhaustion and regret. What do you want? I asked. Nothing. I just wanted you to know that I understand what I lost, not the house or the money or the lifestyle. I lost the two best people I've ever known. You made your choice. I made a lot of choices, all of them wrong. We stood there in silence for a moment, the weight of our shared history hanging between us like smoke. Graham's appeals were denied, she said finally. I heard. Ethan's working at a free clinic in New Mexico. His daughters won't speak to him. Good. Everyone who helped me destroy our family got destroyed themselves. Everyone except me. You got destroyed too. You just didn't go to prison for it. She laughed, a sound like breaking glass. Prison might have been easier. At least prisoners know they're paying for their crimes. What do you want me to say, Elise? That I forgive you? That we can be friends? That Max should give you another chance? No, I just wanted you to know that you won. Won what? Everything. The war, the family, the future. You saved Max from becoming like me, and you proved that good people can knock bad people if they're smart enough and strong enough. She turned to leave, then stopped. Take care of him, she said without looking back. I always have. I know. That's why you won. I watched her walk away, this woman I'd once loved enough to marry. Now a stranger carrying the weight of choices that had destroyed everything she'd ever cared about. She got in a knock-up Honda Civic, a far cry from her old BMW, and drove away without looking back. Max came outside a few minutes later. Is she gone? He asked. Yeah, she's gone. Good. I was afraid she might try to stay. Would that bother you? He thought about it for a moment, then shook his head. She stopped being my mom the night she chose Graham over us. You're all the family I need. I put my arm around my son's shoulders and looked at our pool, sparkling clean in the Texas sunshine. The same pool where I'd overheard the conversation that started this whole nightmare, now washed clean of blood and betrayal and broken dreams. Come on, I said. Let's go inside. I'll teach you how to make my famous spaghetti and meatballs. Is it actually famous? It will be after you taste it. We walked toward the house together, father and son, survivors of a war that had tested everything we were and everything we believed in. We'd lost a wife and mother, but we'd gained something more valuable. The knowledge that we could face anything together and come out stronger on the other side. The pool was clean, the enemies were defeated, and the future stretched out before us like an open road. It was enough. It was everything.